So we're taking a look at the Tomb Raider card game. Now, there are a couple videos out there from other people talking about, their opinion on the game. This is one of the CCGs that actually plays solo officially. And interestingly, in the rulebook, they actually teach you a solo game first, which is, I don't think I've ever seen a CCG do that. There are only 4 starters. The first set, the premier set, had this cave deck and this tomb deck. They came either by themselves for about $10. There's also a combo pack. They each have a booster pack inside. The second set, Slippery When Wet, had these 2 decks, and the third set, Big Guns, did not have any. Now, I have 2 of these open. I know the rules. I'm going to go through that and kind of do an opening with the other one. So, starting off with the first set, this is by precedence. They're the ones that did Babylon 5. That's probably their biggest contribution to the market. This game is around from 1999 to 2000. It died before the company did. I believe Eidos pulled the license, if memory serves. I think it could have been Sony. So, inside, you're going to find, does it tell you contents on this one? Yeah, it does. So, I'll show you everything you get, but this is fully playable the way it is. Now, in here, obviously this one was opened. You get a 50 card deck. You get, let's get this thing out, in precedence fashion, because you see these with Babylon 5, you get this die cut sheet. Obviously, I'll break them apart. They're various exits. These are, for showing that a creature or an obstacle are killed. These are for increasing values. This is to show a room is empty. These are save points. These are, for using for hits or showing that a room, obstacle has been cleared. They're fine. Obviously, they're nice little thickness, but obviously they're very tiny. We have a rule book, which is honestly very thorough. Despite its thickness, let me show you, about a third of it, this back third, is mostly variants and ways to play the game, which is cool. There's a lot, the index here gives you a very quick and easy reference. The beginning is solo. Then they give you your standard rules. They give you a very nice clean layout. Everything said and done, this is actually rather impressive. We have a depth marker. Normally you can just measure the number of cards. For a short game, you're going up to depth 4. For a mid-length game, you go up to depth 6. On the back of this, obviously you'd have a second set that goes up to 12. They call them, I think they call it a power level. Like power level 1 is up to depth 4. Power level 2 is up to depth 6, and power level 3 is up to depth 12. That usually determines certain cards, certain values. That'll determine those sorts of things. Like this, a power 1 character sort of thing. Now, from this, each of these quest decks has its own unique Lara Croft. You only get Lara Croft, that's it, no big deal. You have your attack value, or your fight, move, search, think. Think is basically your initial draw, and then how many cards you draw each turn. These are all these other ones, so not this one, are how many dice you throw when you have to use that. Let's take this off. I have it somewhat separated. You get a location deck, a location stack specifically. Now, I would personally have had them had a different back, but whatever, because the locations are actually separate. No matter which way you play, solo or multiplayer, they are separate from your draw deck. You get 1 card that's located as an entrance. Here is what they call the level. So this is the cave location, and then you get 1 treasure room, which is basically like your end goal, or in a deeper variant, it's where you find the treasure, and then you got to make it back to this. The arrows, whenever a new card is drawn, so here you can see I can go up, left, right. You take the bottom arrow and you have it face that way. So, and this is the 1 treasure that comes with the deck. Let's set that aside, because I have this set up to basically run the deck. Let me find you the rest of the locations. So that's my entrance, that's my treasure room, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 other locations to go through. Now it's going to usually be a 3 wide grid, and then you go into your depth. Usually there's at least one save point. And then some of them have traps. They'll usually tell you, so you see here it's in bold, the kind of trap, it does say trap. Then you need a value of 7 or better in think, or a value 9 or better in search. Going back to our Lara here, this specific one, the Spelunker, my search value is 3 dice, my think value is 2 dice. So in order to take on that, I'd have to roll 7 or better on 2 dice or 9 or better on 3 dice. You know, and you can kind of go through there. This one has a flare icon. In case you have a flare, you can use that to instantly just pass that. This one has built-in wolves, you know, and so on. So, obviously, as the, where's my box? As the cave quest deck, it comes with the cave location. Now, it also comes with the other parts you need. These are slightly small dice, I think probably like 6mm, 2d6, and the red Lara figure. Set them off to the side here. That's everything that's in there. We're going to open up this booster momentarily. But it also comes, all of them come with one character upgrade that you would draw. You have discovery cards, then you have action cards. So this will be your draw deck. So this one comes with a set of magnums, and then, you know, various ones. This green icon is for when you do a search in a room. You roll your dice, it's a search action, and then if it's that value or better, this card from your hand can be played for various effect. So this one comes with the rope. We're going to open the other one. I believe that one's going to come with a flare. And these are action cards. They usually give, you know, most of the time they help you. Sometimes they'll hinder your opponent. Now let's look at our obstacles. So, in a multiplayer game, obstacles are shuffled into your deck. In a solo, they're set aside and they're played. Their value, in order to be played, very few of these actually have real restrictions. This danger value, I think it might be the trap value. The value doesn't matter. But a location has, this is its trap value, and then there's a additional on this. So at depth 1 it's +1, and obviously as you go deeper and deeper up to depth 6, it's +6. So the higher level obstacles, you know, like this 6, has to be played, you know, in a room that already has a bonus, or, you know, maybe it's depth 6 or whatever. So you have a 7 and an 8. The big one here is the bear, which is an 11 fight, and your character starts with 2, or a 12 move. They give things like you can get stuck, which is basically losing a turn and you have to fight it again, or you can get a hit and your character has hit points equal to their lowest number. Most of the time that's going to be 2. Some other characters from the boosters are higher, but for all the Lara Crofts I've seen, it's 2. So that's a real quick run through of the game, and we will open up the booster packs momentarily and I'll show you why. So that's the cave deck. We can go right over here into our tomb deck. I actually kind of like that they have these little tear holes here. It makes it easier if you wanted to do it without a edged weapon of sorts. But these are very thin, you know, boxes. Obviously with the airspace in them, these things would get crushed almost instantly. I got a very good deal. You can see this edge is kind of crushing. Got a very good deal. There's finally some eBay dealers. These slipper one wet ones, if you're looking for them, are the harder to get ones. I will also say that they are the more interactive ones. I'll explain why when we get to them. So this one comes with 2 black dice and a yellow. We are going to have a booster pack. Obviously, same rule book, same depth marker, and again, you would use 2 depth markers if you're going to, you know, a longer, what's called a level 3 game, a power level 3 game. So let's open this. Where is, there it is, nice and easy. Take that off to the side. So here is our Lara Croft Treasure Hunter, and for comparison, you can see that she has a higher think value. The later ones will have special abilities, but as for the premier, obviously right now we're just talking swapping out a higher move value versus a think value. So this one draws more cards, this one rolls more dice on the move challenges. So we have her. These are not really in order. I also love that, you know, factory fresh, and we got crimps and everything else. So here's an action. Here's her level 2 upgrade. I am almost positive that one is different. Let's double check. No, it's not. All right, so you get the same level 2 upgrade. You get the Magnums again. And again, because this is Premier, there's going to be some similarities. I'm just separating actions, obstacles. I should be seeing a flare in here eventually. Here's our actions. Here are obstacles. This is one of those. You know, we'll go through all that momentarily, just kind of separating by type. I do appreciate very much that you can see in the top corner and the edge that these are differently colored. They're very clearly different colors. You know, some games, even though this one doesn't have different color backs, which I think it should have for the location deck, this one does have, oh, this one comes with rope too. It doesn't come with flare. That's kind of disappointing. So that's that. This is our location deck and our one treasure. So we'll go through that momentarily. So for her, here are my actions. Here's my upgrade. You know, we have the rope again. It says discard from play to remove a pit obstacle or any other obstacle with a rope icon. There is a flare in this set for the dark, medipack, backpack, save point. All of them come usually with about one save point. Now, the rest of our draw deck, our quote-unquote draw deck, are actions. You know, so we have things that upgrade our search. We have play before you do a fight test, roll an extra die, which is, they even tell you in the book you usually want to save it for the bear. You know, there's usually one big bad in this. So, and then here are obstacles. So we have a 5 move. That one's pretty tough. Any of the creatures will fight. It has 1 point of life. Hit if failed, so you'll take a hit. Obviously, usually I have 2 points of life. Stuck if failed. It has a flare. Death if failed. What's interesting about this game, I bring it up, that if you die, you go back to a save point, which at least one of these cards grants you a save. There it is. This one grants you a save location. You can go back to your save point, you go back to the entrance. There's really, it's very hard to lose the game due to the game itself. You can lose if your opponent gets to the, you know, treasure first. There's also a variant where you have to get the treasure and bring it back to your entrance. So here's our, here we are, it says tomb. So this is the tomb level. Here's our entrance. This one has a save point. They both have a save point. Here is our treasure vault. Obviously, you probably want to save the rope for, you know, when you get to that. You know, this one is +3, so you have a higher chance because in the solo, you just flip out obstacles until they click and then you reshuffle. Here, your opponent would probably definitely try to get you, but it does go in 4 directions, so it's pretty good. Now, when you're playing multiplayer, there are multiple ways to do that, and the book just gives you a ton. Here's our treasure. Just depending, you might get it, the game's over, get it, come back, in which case you use it like an item until you get back. There are ways to do it where it's, you know, 1 level for depth 1 to 4, a 2nd level for depth 5 to 8, and a 3rd level, if you're playing with a 3rd level, from 9 to 12. There are, you can also play a single one. You can play 2 side-by-side ones. Let me, I know it's in the manual. Where's my manual? They show you, it's called a parallel, here we go. So they show you that, you know, your opponent would be over here, you'd be here. You're playing the cave location, they're playing tomb location. But the nice part is that there'd be a crossover, so it would be a 6 wide going up. They're really, you know, them giving you so many ways to play the location gives you a lot of customization. Again, I will give credit where credit's due. For this game, you get a lot of opportunity to kind of make it your own. Between, you know, how you stack your obstacles for playing solo. I keep going back to that because of the fact that it's built to play solo. You are going to start, you know, you would pack higher level obstacles or maybe just a giant obstacle deck, so you'd have to fight your way through it, that sort of stuff. Now, moving on to the slippery when wet, here's the Pacific Peril deck. This one I already opened. We get blue dice and a blue Lara. Pull this out. Obviously, you're getting the slippery when wet rules because it adds a factor I will go over in a second. Same punch-out sheet, which is a little sad. I was kind of hoping for a better one. This one has a slippery when wet booster for a good reason. So, here we have the Lara Croft. This is the Pacific set. Scuba Diver. Now you have tech stability. Air supply. It starts at value 6 whenever you go to a wet location, and I will bring them up. They are right back here, so here we are. They will say that they're wet. You need to spend 1 air to go in them, and then 1 air every time you do an action there. So you only have 6 air to start. Now, the air instantly refills when you go to a dry location. Dry location is any non-wet. So it's very interesting. There are cards in here that turn wet into dry. I don't know if there's any that turn dry into wet. There might be. But obviously, if there's a little bit of a push your luck. If you run out of air, you die. You instantly just die, and obviously you have to reset. But for example, this one has it's a regular dry fight. But this one here, you have 1 for going in. I can't remember. I think you actually do use an air for the fight also. And so you got like 2 air right there. This one says -1 air supply and stuck if failed. So you could arguably get stuck here and almost die in this location. It adds a secondary loss condition, and you got to fight your way through. As long as they're wet, even when you backtrack up and through, you still are going to have to worry about using your air. Here's a save point. Obviously, the shallows, it's dry. Here is our treasure room. Here's our entrance, and this entrance is interesting because it lowers the difficulty for acquiring gear. So I pulled them aside. This one comes with the air tank and the snorkel. So the air tank here is return this to your hand to fill your air supply, and has the searchable value, whatever. That what you roll against is 12. Obviously, if you do it at the start, like this is one of your starting cards because you get to choose your starting hand, this would drop down to a 10, and you'd be able to sit there with an extra air supply. Very likely one of your starters. This one gives +2 the results of each search test while at a wet location. Now this one comes with 2 weapons because this is a wet-dry weapon. You can't use non-wet weapons at wet locations. Obviously, it makes sense. So you have this as a backup. And then you got stuff like fill your air supply, can only be played at a non-special wet location. At a save point, it becomes a dry location. Obviously, one of the most important cards in the deck. And then we'll get to some of our obstacles. We have, obviously, this one's real easy to play on someone. This one takes away 2 from the air supply. It does say it's a wet trap. Here's a wet-dry creature, so it'll get played at either. And 2 life, 2 hits have failed, which will kill you if you're not upgraded. So I mean, like the frogmen here, which has different values if it's in the wet, and it will also cost you air supply if you fail. This one there's no dark, it's a flare. The difference is this is a wet-dry trap. Obviously before it was just a regular trap, so it was dry before. Wet-dry obstacle, -3 air supply, which likely will probably kill you. And here is your big bad. This is the sharks. It has 3 life, 2 hits, and -2 air supply have failed. It's a 10 fight or an 8 think, so it's a pretty tough one. And now, obviously, we have a different level 2 upgrade. This one increases your air supply. In order to play it, you have to have gone to 2 wet locations so far. Then you get your actions. So, and these 2 I have flipped over because for solo, they only affect opponents. So obviously, I would advocate that if, the premier ones are rather cheap to find. Usually this is going to date the video, but as of, 2021 October, they go for about $7 or so bucks. I definitely would not be paying more than that. But you can there's someone right now that sells the full set of 4, which is really good. The fact, again, that this adds the wet locations very much changes up how the game plays. I appreciate that. Now, let's go to our final one here. The Neptune's Fury deck. Alright. There we go. Take this one off. Nice and easy. I do hate the flaps on these. You get them creased instantaneously. Let's get... Come on. Come on. Alright, let's just... You wanna do it this way? We'll do it this way. Then we have our 4th green color, so technically, obviously, I have enough stuff to play 4 players. Here is our Lara Croft Mariner. We'll get our booster pack out. We'll be opening those momentarily once we just go through this one real quick. This is going to be the, I believe it's called the Roman locations. Obviously, we'll know in about 5 seconds. So she rolls an additional die when making any test at a wet location. She has a 3 think, and the rest are 2s. So her life is still 2, but obviously it just depends on, you know, if you want to use less air or roll more dice. Here are our actions. There's going to be some overlap. Steady aim being in all the decks is just a good card. We have an air tank. Obstacle. Here's our shark knife. Here's the same oceanographer level 2. We'll tuck that over here. We have another crocodile, rats, frogmen. So we're seeing the same ones again. Fill your air supply, drain trigger. All right, more actions. Here's another to the dark, save point, trigger door. So I'm seeing, obviously I'm seeing more of the same. Sorting my way through it. This look again, because whenever you go to a location and you search, you put an empty token on there. Getting that empty token off, obviously when you have to double back, is kind of important because you know, you only have so many searches. And the locations have a search rating as well. So Magnum Pistols there, so we got those again. They're absolute. Geyser Eruption, I don't remember that one before. This location becomes wet. So there we go, it answers what I thought. You have a card that can make a location wet. This one has the diving flippers. If you remember, the previous one said, you know, its location lets you search for those 3 at a advantage. Here's the 3rd one. Gigantic eel. Is that our big bad? 9 search, 9 fight, might be. Here are locations. So, Tomb Raider explores this location, may draw a card. Again, here's our search modifier. This one's a +1, and so that's just a pool. This one's a manta ray, wet Roman. So where is my entrance? Submerged ramp. Blocked passage. Here's my treasure room, Neptune's sanctum. Here's my entrance. Diving platform, it has the same 3 at -2. The other one was the beach, but this is the Roman location. Here's our treasure. And that's also a pretty tough trap too. So the eels are a big giant guy. So that is the Roman location deck, the Neptune's Fury. Of the ones I just like the fact that we have the wet locations add that much more of a challenge. You know, it makes dying much easier, which to some people not a big advantage, but if you get, you know, your upgrade or you get all the right equipment, the rolls become a lot easier to become, you know, if you get your level 2 upgrade, you know, and you start, you know, your air supply becomes 8. Well, that's, you know, it's a little bit, you can dive a little bit deeper, you can search a bit more, but it is what it is. So we're going to open those boosters now to obviously get through all of that. So we have our 2 slippery when wet and our 2 premium. I'm going right for the expensive ones first, just because that's what I want to do. Come on. There we go. Didn't want to rip it that much. So how many cards are we getting? 8 card boosters. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. All right. I don't know which ones are rare. I don't think they denote them. I know you can look at a set. So Angry Native, another Crocodile, Action, shuffle discard pile into your deck. Okay. Treasure Room. So Shipwreck location. The premium, actually all 3 sets have another location to collect for. What I'm hoping to get are some Atlantean locations, which are an extra one because one of these search things says you need 3 Atlantean locations. Last guess, play at a wet location. When your air supply is 2 or less, roll 2 additional dice. Not bad. And here's our rare. I can tell you that just because all the characters are rare. Sergeant Steele, if you do not use a weapon when you fight another Tomb Raider, you may inflict 3 hits instead of 1 if successful. So, I mean, you can see he's got the same stats as the Mariner. So, obviously, he's a versus character, but he doesn't have all the same upgrades and everything available to him. But getting a character out of, you know, the 4 packs, that's decent. This set has a lot of callbacks and references to other stuff, which, you know, sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. So, obviously the rares in the back. Underwater Grate. Action, 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 action. Ooh, killer whales. Look at that. 9 move or 11 fight, 4 life, which means you got to fight it forever. -3 air supply if failed. Wow, you really got to fight that one. That's definitely a run from that. That'll tank you usually. Monkey swing action and our rare, the cage trap. Ooh, 12 search or 12 move. All exits at this location become blocked if failed. If any Tomb Raider overcomes this obstacle, unblock all exits at this location and remove it from play. Wow. That's a trap. I'll give them credit for that one. That's a trap. Let's go to our premiere set. A little disappointing, but, you know, that's fine. Right off the bat, wow, it looks like the rare's up front in this pack. So, Cowboy, you get +1 fight when using the Magnum Pistols. Luckily, the Magnums are in all the starters, so he could be subbed in easily. He's got a 4 think, so that's a 4 count starting hand and 4 draw every turn. I'll accept it. So we got our action. Here we go. Here's an Atlantis location. When a Tomb Raider enters this location, she may shuffle any deck of her choice. Obviously, it's got a 5 rating for obstacles. Pretty heavy. Cannot be played on a special location. That's fine. Action. That's action. Action. This is a of everything said and done, getting 2 characters out of the 4 so far. I'm impressed. I mean, they don't have the upgrades, but at the same time, still pretty good. I mean, this guy, even though he has a 4, his life is still 2. That's his lowest stat. And our final pack. So this is probably our rare. Stone tablet during the search round instead of a normal search. Destroy any number of stone tablets and roll a die. If you roll no higher than double the number of tablets, you may take any discovery from your deck and find it. Okay. Mark the location empty, then shuffle. Okay. Interesting card. We got an action, adds 5 to the results of a search test. You become stuck for 1 turn. Pretty good. Atlantean Amulet. When found, you may immediately play any level 2 upgrade on your character. This card satisfies all upgrade requirements. Okay, interesting. Action, 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 and more bats. So, said and done. 2 characters. That's pretty cool. 1 Atlantean location. I don't know. That's that. The obviously you would take some cards and you can tweak your deck. It's more obstacles get played. I could easily throw all the obstacles together in one giant deck and go from there. The game's decent. I don't, with the cost of the slippery when wet boosters as well as big guns, which obviously I don't have an example of. The boosters are expensive. Premier set was overproduced, very easy to get, not a big issue. But the boosters for the follow-up sets are expensive. I haven't seen anyone selling lots of this. So really you're looking at mostly just the starters. And the starters do satisfy everything you need. They do have, you know, they all have a different character, which is good. They all have a different location deck called a level. Again, I'm just using the terminology. So getting 4 levels, 4 different Laras, obviously 2 of them are specially designed for wet. It feels overall like a pretty good investment. I don't think it's perfect. I do think that, you know, we got our money's worth with the pack opens, you know, because obviously if we want to use the 2 extra characters, we can. But I do appreciate being able to, you know, get those the 2, if you want to call them the 2 wet levels, because the air supply thing I think does add a lot to the game. Now, as far as say completing this, it would cost you a fortune, just because big guns is so expensive and hard to get, and I don't think the payoff is there. I mean, there is more variety. There's another level. There's dinosaurs. There's a flamethrower, an M16, and a rocket launcher. I mean, the 3rd set obviously called big guns because it has crazy stuff going on, but I don't see it. Unless you're a big Tomb Raider fan or this sort of adventure style game, it's more like a roguelike because the rooms unfold as you go. It has potential, but as far as the depth and everything that comes with it, I don't think it's there for the amount of money you'd have to invest. Buying the 4 starters was perfectly fine. It really was. This is a good value. I'm going to play it a bunch and probably pass it on. It's not a... Because I've played Arcadia, CCG, with that one I am keeping, I think Arcadia handles the game a little bit better with the way locations are handled, with the way they link up, the fact that you have character creation as opposed to a draw deck build, because here, you do have a character, and they are indeed unique. They have a skill, they have different values. You know, we saw the characters from the boosters. They are different. But you're going to generally want to really work on getting better cards, harder obstacles, fleshing out those locations, depending. I just don't think it's worth it to go that far. But as far as, you know, if you want to say investment advice, if you want to play it as a curiosity, the premier decks are cheap. You can get them usually around $7 or so, give or take shipping. The slipper one, wet ones right now are available. I wouldn't go above, say, 12 on those if you're looking to complete a set. They are the better of them because they air supply. I've said that multiple times now, just kind of hammering that home. But that's that. So, obviously this was a review, an opening, and everything else. This is how much Tomb Raider we're going to have. We're not picking up more unless someone is getting rid of a lot for a reasonable price, which I've never seen anyone do. It's another one of those CCGs that, because of how it failed, it was not very popular at the time, and so now collectors are flocking to it. There are also Tomb Raider fans which are flocking to it, so that's that. But we'll end with the usual YouTube stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Cardboard Resurrection is always trying to expand and get into more of these dead games, give them their fair share. And this one's definitely somewhere in the middle. It's a little bit above the middle. I think you should give it a shot if the price seems right to you, but don't lose your shirt trying to collect it. So until next time, let's play some more dead games. Let's put it that way.